at this place where it's like I literally can't regulate the biochemicals in my body anymore. So I'm going to go to this clinic. So Mark, when you're like, yes, the thing that creates is a ghost locked in a room in a corporation. I'm like, yeah, that's how we think about it. That's exactly right.
And it has no power. Ultimately, you have to do it. You have to transcend to become human. It's so bizarre. Dude, the whole thing is so bizarre. No one should watch that film. It is not a movie. It is not a movie. I deny that it is even a movie.
That ship has sailed.
Okay, Father Eric, did I hear you say the creator did not engage in the world in a feminine way?
No, that was a reference to this character in the Barbie movie.
In the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The context
like
makes
the
that,
actual.
Yeah.
The actual creator.
I know, Jacob. All the hairs on the back of my neck stood up for a second too, until I realized what Father Eric was saying, and then it was fine.
I wasn't paying too much attention, but then I heard him say that, and I was like, "But you guys have Marian devotion, yeah."
Is that what summoned you, Jacob?
That's what.
No, actually, what summoned me was I finished writing the bylaws for my new corporation.
Oh, great!
Oh, the Fountain of Comfort thing.
Correct.
That one.
The Fountain of Comfort.
Yes.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, at 8 o'clock today. So in 53 minutes, we're having our first board meeting.
That's very exciting.
Cool. Congrats.
And then I'm going to start asking all of you for money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, now we're on the internet. Here we go.
I'm not even monetized yet. I'll be monetized tomorrow, though.
Really?
Hooray!
Yeah.
No, the Shadow Matriarchy is the other nonprofit.
But we don't talk about that.
The other nonprofit, I have no idea what's going on with that one. I'm hoping Father Eric does, but shh.
I didn't realize you had something called the Shadow Matriarchy.
The Shadow Matriarchy is how I was describing the whatchamacallit, Joyful Mother of.
Grim Grizz has a Shadow
children.
Matriarchy.
Yeah. Well, that's where I stole it from.
Yeah, and if you hadn't, fixed your cat, you might have a Shadow Matriarchy in your house. But now that ship has sailed.
I do have a Shadow Matriarchy. Happy and Shadow are both female. So.
But I'm saying, like, is she gonna have kittens?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever Happy, and it doesn't happen very often, whenever Happy starts humping other dogs, I say, Happy, you were female and now you're fixed. What are you doing?
No, broken. The dog is now broken, not fixed. I don't know why they call it fixed, and they literally broke the thing.
Wow, Mark, that's so true. It's like, hey, we fixed your dog. We fixed your cat. It's like,
I was about to make the same point, to be honest.
That's amazing.
Okay,
that's why
I did not want to deal with animals in heat. I just did not.
No, nobody's saying you made a bad decision.
No.
Ontologically,
But it was breaking the cat, not fixing the cat.
You are breaking them.
Yeah.
A functional and healthy organ was rendered non-functional.
Okay.
That's amazing. Well, you just you reach carrying capacity of an apartment very, very quickly when it comes to animals.
Yeah.
So
Most apartments won't let you have more than 2.
Which is funny that they don't consider you an animal. So there you go. All of our evolutionary biology stuff, they can't get it in their heads.
No, it's how many freeloaders? 2 freeloaders per apartment max.
Wow, Jacob was violating some kind of
they're legally not allowed to count kids in that number. So
Yes. For now.
I'm remaining optimistic about this one.
Well, look, it's either going to be the fur babies are going to be treated like children, or the children are going to be treated like the animals.
True.
I really wish I could argue against you, but I can't.
I know. You just make me feel sick.
Yeah.
I see that trend, right?
It's so well because we like looking in mirrors, and the fact is that weirdly, cats and dogs are actually more mirrors of ourselves than our own biological children.
Well, yeah, they don't have their own personality.
They don't have that.
I mean, they have a little bit of
the
their
same
own
kind of
personality,
personality. Yeah.
but you're going to put a lot more of yourself into them, I think, just because there's what?
There's more space there.
It's more like there's less written in.
Yeah.
And they're dependent on you for food and they don't know how to get it themselves.
Well, that's also true, children.
That applies to kids for a while, though.
It's also probably easy to project a personality onto something that doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I actually think it is. They need you in the ways you want them to need you, and people need you in the way they need to need you. I think that's a lot.
And in known ways, in limited known ways.
In limited known ways. Yeah. The demands that they can make on you are limited, but you still feel good about. I don't know, Jacob. You're probably the most forward pet owner of any of us. What is it that makes you have happy in the shadow of death in your life?
Okay, so having a dog was literally saved my life.
Okay.
I suffered from what used to be called agoraphobia and is now referred to as panic attack disorder. There was about a year of my life that I could not leave my apartment to save my life, literally. Like I couldn't even go food shopping. And the worst possible therapist in history had suggested I get a dog, which I did. And walking that dog made it possible for me to leave my apartment. And I eventually, my previous dog, which you saw the pictures of, Duke, he became an actual special assistance dog. And when he died, I got happy as a replacement, but I couldn't train her. She's actually too smart to be a special assistance dog. And because it's really boring work. And so I had a decision to make whether I was going to get rid of Happy somehow and find another dog to train or stop using a special assistance dog. So I still have Happy. But when I decided to go into psychotherapy, I was like, you know what? The best advice, despite all the medicines, which I am very, very, very grateful for psychoactive medication, despite all of the therapy, the best single thing for me was my dog. And I knew some people aren't dog people. And I said, you know what? I need to learn how to take care of a cat so that if I was going to recommend to somebody to get a comfort animal, I would know how to do that. And so...
Shut up.
Right there.
Make the cat wave, Jacob. Come on.
I'm guessing that was not the answer you were anticipating.
No, that's great. I really wanted to know. I look, I'm not down on pets at all. When you see, well, what I see is like lots of very wealthy people who have clearly chosen to not have children and instead have dogs that are probably on the verge of dying because of how obese they are.
Yeah.
And then you see that pattern over and over and over. Or you see young childless couples who have no intention of having children and instead have an extraordinarily well-groomed animal that they probably paid like $2,000 for, that they like take on dog vacations. You're like, you start to try to figure out what's going on there. So, no,
Well, those two things are linked. Look,
yes,
human beings are not solitary animals. Individual human beings cannot live by themselves.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just bad. And the Bible says,
it is not
Lo
good.
tov lihiot adam levado,
Yes.
which means precisely what you just said, but
Yeah.
in the original. It is not good for man to be alone. And so, yeah, the two are in fact linked.
Yeah.
At the same time, like,
Hi, baby.
I think the solution is more animals, not less animals.
Well, yeah. So, and in the right place, and I mean, I think you.
Yeah.
So I had this wonderful memory where we live. I grew up in a pretty rural area, but we're not agricultural. So it's one of those like bunch of houses. They all have like 10 to 40 acres on them. And our neighbor, they had some animals on him. His friend needed somewhere to keep these 2 cows for a little while they were moving, some dairy cows. And so he came over and he built this fence. It was maybe like a 3-acre paddock. And at one point I was over there and like his dog had come over and I can't remember what all. At any rate, he goes down to the cow and he's like just this country guy and he's standing there and there's like the donkey that was with the cow and her calf and like this dog and maybe some chickens, but they're all just like standing around him and just like gazing on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this moment where I was like, there's this really weird thing about like the farmyard and Eden that are like really weirdly similar. And like I've been around enough that was a mosquito, enough farmyards to know that like it doesn't feel like Eden when you're there, but there's this sense of like this communion that's going in a whole lot of different directions. That's just and like man as this center point, this like ordering point for all of that. That I think that when you get out of the agricultural world, it's just like really hard to see it anymore.
You lose the hierarchy. That's why you need the animals. Because there's a hierarchy to the animals, and the animal hierarchy leads up to you, right? And then you get that sense of that depth, that vertical causality everybody keeps talking about. That's where it comes from, seeing the depth of the hierarchy. And animals help add that depth to the hierarchy, to the vertical causality, so that you start to understand that whole thing better.
Yeah, well, it's also in their proper place as well, and so like the pig is meant to be there for a while and then slaughter it. It's not meant to be there as a pet, right? The dog, my beagle, my stupid beagle Ruby that I have at home, right? She's meant to follow her nose, so like she's stupid for a reason. She's meant to just follow her nose so that we can hunt whatever we need to hunt, and then you might have a Jack Russell, for instance, to flush out the rabbits from their holes.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that when God says that it's not good for man to be alone, that is after he made all the animals and just before he makes another human being.
Yeah. So it's specific to it can't be you and your pets, you Muppet. I think that's what I mean.
Right. You take the boys out hunting with the dumb beagle, and then you've got the whole hierarchy there.
Well, there's this interesting thing of seeing that like we're both animals and more than animals, and like until you have like a second data point, how can you tell? So there's this a good relationship with animals can actually probably help you not treat other people as mere animals, which is like counterintuitive. Yeah.
No, because if you don't know any better, that's where equality doctrine comes from. Everyone's equal because everyone's just a people. It's like, no. And then they try to drag animals up and drag other people down. Some people we're not equal. Our conversation earlier, right, Ted? There's some people and you're like, boy, that person's so much smarter than I am. And then they make mistakes too, but that doesn't make us equal, even though they make mistakes. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, it's and again, it's defining that criteria, and so
we're seeing it. You can't define it. That's the problem. You need to participate in it, and that's why you need to be on a farm or have pets, because you can't book learn it. You can't we talked about this in the beginning. You can't book learn this stuff. You have to experience it in order to know it in the participatory fashion, and that's how you become familiar with it.
Yeah. There's a really interesting part too in Paralandra where the green lady at the end says something basically about it's not even at the end, where she basically says like part of what it means to be in animals, to be being drawn upward, which I just thought was really interesting. And like when you think about what we've done with what we do with domestication is like we render. I think people tend to take a really hard view on domestication in general, is that we've say broken wild animals, but like you in other ways are actually elevating to this capacity to have some kind of a communion with humans that they wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Yes.
Besides the fact that it is the glory of the animal to be eaten, because now they are participating in the body of a being that can be united to the creator God of the universe. And what greater glory could be availed to a cow or a chicken, say, than to be part of a person? So,
right.
There's a donkey that talked to a wicked prophet in the Bible, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is too. Do you think but you don't think donkeys are always just like have got that bottled up, and occasionally they're given speech like?
Actually, that's what. So I translated once a long letter by a particular rabbi, because he goes through and like gives all the biblical reasons why obviously animals do have souls, and it's like a 6-page letter, and like finding all like translating it was one of the hardest translation jobs I've ever done in my whole life. But I did translate it to English, and like it's very, very hard to understand if you don't have like a solid foundation in Judaism. But like he actually brings Bilam's donkey, and he's like, see, it says that God opened its mouth, meaning there's a closed mouth there.
That's interesting.
If a dog or a donkey or one of the higher animals walks into a room with a coherent group of human beings, they could probably figure out who's in charge.
Yeah.
The animals, yeah.
Animals absolutely can't, right? You take me out to the barnyard, not my place, you know, they know that the farmer's in charge and I'm not.
Yes, yeah. I remember a similar thing happened when I drove cattle in my cousin's farm. So my auntie, who's familiar to the cows, was like, "You stand back, don't look at them in the eye, and that'll be that." They start running. I mean, cows can be quite majestic when they're running full tilt, but then you're also seeing them run towards you. And they all of them, just before they got into the little road that we were going to drive them down, they all just stop, even though I'm just sort of standing here looking around, whatever, they all stop and stare. And then they hear the call from my auntie and then go, oh, okay, let's go.
Boy, cows feel silly until you've got about 15 of them staring at you in running distance, and then cows are not silly at all.
No.
Very stressful.
Okay, I want to tell my favorite story about my dog Duke. So late at night, it was like 10 o'clock at night, I took Duke to the park and I let him off leash, and I'm sitting there with my phone, just playing with my phone, and this homeless guy walks up to me and starts asking for money. And I never give homeless people money. I seriously believe if you stabbed them, it would be kinder than giving them a dollar bill. I seriously believe that. And so I was like, no. And he starts walking away. He was about, 15, 20 feet away from me. It's dark. I have no clue where Duke is. If I had called Duke, I'm not sure Duke would have come. Duke was even more shy than Happy is. Like anybody, and Happy's very shy. He would not protect himself for anything. But the guy turns around and says, you shouldn't be playing with such expensive toys so late at night in the park. Meaning my phone. Mm-hmm. And there were other people in the park. There was lights. I was bigger than this guy. He was drunk. But somebody says something like that, you kind of, you get your gander up. I didn't stand up. I was sitting down. I didn't say a word. Nothing. Out of nowhere, Duke is running at this guy. I have no clue. Like, it must have been some sort of pheromone something.
He could hear his voice. He could hear it in the voice, man.
Yeah.
Animals are used to people. They know what we mean.
But I didn't say anything. How Happy knew.
He knew the threat.
Yeah.
You heard the threat in the other guy.
But it was a threat to me. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Duke. I called Duke Happy. But Duke was like, wasn't anywhere even near me. It was
Right.
the strangest thing in the world.
Dogs have good
Yeah.
ears, man.
Yeah, I remember being brought in when I was a little 4-year-old to my nan's house in the boxer. My dad was just like, "Listen, just be relaxed. Don't just be relaxed around him." He's not like it. And the boxer was like, he was lovely. Oscar was lovely, and you just realize like you get a sense eventually, especially as a kid, like, yeah, this guy knows what I'm like about. Either like not on a high explicit level, but on the kind of am I afraid, am I not sort of level.
That's why I don't like people who don't like dogs. I honestly, like, if you don't like dogs, I understand if you're allergic. But if you don't like dogs, and you're not from, like, a culture, like, when I grew up, dogs were considered vermin in Iran.
Oh.
There were wild packs of dogs running around, and, like, they were scary, and nobody ever brought a dog inside. Like,
Typical Persians,
Yes.
Persian barristers hating the symbol of Rome.
Well, I mean, it's a Muslim thing.
Eagles?
Oh yeah. Oh, in Islam, like, bringing a dog into your house is considered like a horrible thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
And so my parents were always scared of dogs. I have family who are scared of dogs. I kind of understand that. But when I had my insurance store, my dad was like, "Why do you bring your dog? You're gonna lose clients." And I was like, "I don't want to have clients who don't like dogs."
Based.
I just want the dogs to keep their paws on the floor.
Yeah.
100%. Your dog jumps up on me. I'm like, you belong on the ground, kid.
That's
Don't
right.
don't put your paws on my casing.
That is a well-behaved dog can be trained to do that. And
Yeah, the dog we had growing up, Bear was trained not to jump at all. He was a big dog.
cool.
He was a Norwegian elk hound, so a big, shaggy,
Oh,
slim
wow.
dog. And so he would not jump up on the furniture. He would not jump up on guests. And he easily could have jumped over our fence in the backyard, but he would not. He would just put his paws up and look over the fence at passerby, which must have been quite the sight, especially because for most of his life, we lived in South Carolina, which is not the place to have a shaggy sled dog.
No.
We would go and, like, just brush hair off of him every day, and it would go floating away in the wind.
But that's submission. I could jump over this fence, but it's a fence. I'm going to respect the fence. That's submission. Like, that's correct. You could do a lot of things, but you submit and don't do the things you could do because it's better for you to submit.
And he was a good dog, and we took him for walks and fed him, and everybody was happy. And anytime somebody knocked at the door, he barked his head off. Mission accomplished.
That's what,
Nice.
Yes, that's what dogs are supposed to do. Right. That is correct. Good dog. Good dog.
Good dog. Yeah. My parents' dog is probably like nearing the end of her years. Sad.
What
Had her
is the-
since I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah. So, like, I know I already answered this question in my head, but, like, yeah, we can kill our dogs, right? We can put our dogs down. That's okay in Catholicism, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right.
They don't. So an animal doesn't have anything that they can do with suffering.
Okay.
Mm.
You, if you're a Christian, and that's at least half of the screen here. You can unite your sufferings to the suffering of Christ on the cross and participate in his salvific action.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure Judaism has some way of handling this, and Mark's already had it figured out forever. So, like, whatever. We don't need to tell him anything.
Yeah.
So, anyway, because we can do something with suffering, we're expected to, but animals are not able to participate in that level or in that way. So, it's just pain for them, and if there's suffering that they can't escape, and it's not like a temporary passing thing, then the way you treat an animal mercifully is to put it out of its misery, which is not the way that you treat a human being.
Well, that's the thing. That's when that gets flattened out. That's when that hierarchy gets flattened out. It's, oh, humans are just animals. And then you get the whole euthanasia, the murder, question in society.
So we make a qualitative difference between human and human life is not like animal life. Just that's the first thing. Second thing is for a Jew, we have a commandment, you shall choose life. So that's why it is prohibited for us to participate in euthanasia. But actually, I'm not even sure. While I certainly support being against euthanasia, I'm not sure we demand of Gentiles not to kill themselves. We do demand of Gentiles not to kill other people.
That's a plus.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure if suicide is. I'm just not sure.
Okay. Yeah. That's
murder is wrong.
Sure. Glad we're all in agreement on that one. Taking an innocent life, not good.
It's almost like that's in the book that you guys share in common or something.
It is. It is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, today I heard a scholar of religion talking about. He was defending Satanism, believe it or not.
Wonderful!
There was a link on my Discord, and he's like, "Yeah, there's no evidence that our legal system is based on the Ten Commandments," and I'm like, "You're an idiot."
Well,
yeah.
What they really need to have is Dennis Prager come in and sit on them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what that was a reference to, but it was funny anyway.
No. I don't want Dennis Prager to argue with them. Right? So Dennis Prager's all about the Ten Commandments are the foundation for a rational and healthy society, which they are. He's not wrong about that, so we can go ahead and agree with that. But I don't want him to even argue with this guy. Just sit on his head.
Right.
That'll do it.
Exactly.
There's no need to dignify that with a response. Oh, goodness.
No, it's so obviously wrong. Our legal system was explicitly based on the Bible.
We have a portrait of Moses in Congress.
There's got to be at least one Hillsdale online class about that.
The distinction between intentional murder and unintentional murder is directly out of the Bible.
Right.
We make that distinction in our laws because the Bible makes that distinction.
Well, but ultimately there is no evidence. But at that level of evidence, there's no evidence for anything, and that's that's the postmodern skeptical critique right there. It's ultimately there's no evidence for anything because you can't. There is no standard by which to judge, and that's how they get around these things. That's how they weasel around the law, which is Foucault's original intent.
Honestly, I don't even think this guy was thinking at the level you are. I think he was just ignorant.
No, but it's not about that, right? It's about the fact that we've given people permission to act like that. And so that there's always a way to say, no, I know the standard of evidence, and here's what I set it at in my head. I'm not saying they do it rationally and consciously. I'm saying we've given them permission to do that, and that's the problem.
Speaking of religion and law, I wanted to ask you, Father Eric, about your experiences getting trained to be a canon lawyer. Like,
Yeah,
where
how'd
did
the
you
summer go?
learn? What was it like?
Yeah, sure. So I took 4 classes this summer, 2 in June, 2 in July. This was at Catholic University of America, which is both a, we'll say a United States university and a university in the pontifical system, because of course we have our own accreditation for our own degrees. That would be something that Paul Vanderklay would be like, wow, about.
Nice.
And don't you get a version of the priest hat if you graduate from a pontifical university, even if you're a secular scholar?
I will have the right to wear a beretta and a cassock with green trim, which I think is just going to be super sharp. And I don't care what the rules are. I'm just going to wear it.
Wear it. I like it.
One of my classics professors had a beretta instead of the doctoral hat because he graduated from a pontifical university.
Yeah. So I took General Norms 1 that covers canons 1 to 95, plus an introduction to the study of canon law. I took particular churches, which was things like bishops and their equivalents in law, dioceses and their equivalents in law, diocesan synods, parishes and pastors, that sort of thing. I took the juridic structure of matrimony, which covers the canons on marriage. And that's not the only time we're going to see marriage, because there's also matrimonial jurisprudence, because we have to do so much of that. And
that one must be one of your most complicated ones.
Yeah, because, well, we won't get into that. And then I took a class that was basically the canons on 5 of the 7 sacraments.
Ooh.
It's like the other 5, they can all just get into 1. Yes, that's it
right there.
No.
The 2 that you didn't learn.
Trip.
Holy orders and marriage. They'll be coming. They've got their own.
They've got their own courses.
They've got their own courses, yeah. Because, yeah. Marriage gets really complicated because the Latin Church, unlike the Eastern churches, allows women to be ministers of the sacrament.
Right. Yeah,
right, because the ministers
but only if they're married?
The ministers of marriage are the couple getting married.
Right. That actually makes things super complicated.
Yes.
And
I bet.
And in the Eastern churches, and I'm not just talking about the Orthodox. I'm not just talking about the Orthodox, but in the Eastern Code of Canon Law, that's not the case.
That's
in the Eastern,
fascinating.
it's the priest who's witnessing the vows. That's the minister of the sacrament.
Well, and so many people don't know that either.
Yeah. What kind of minister are we talking about?
That the minister of the sacrament is the couple getting married, not the priest.
But not in the Eastern Catholic churches.
Right.
And I'm
I
like,
always kind of wondered
how
if
are
it
we
was
in
a
communion with them?
difference.
Yeah.
And I guess it doesn't matter, which is nice.
Wait, so is this minister of which sacrament?
Marriage. So
women can be the minister of marriage?
No,
Yes.
the couple in the Latin Rite. It's the
They
couple,
are.
husband and wife who are the ministers of the sacrament to one another, and the priest is the church witness.
And here's the fun part: is that they do it in persona Christi, just like I do it. And so I suppose,
I wish we'd talked a little bit more about this before I got married.
yeah. So,
Would have really liked to be really aware of what was going on.
yeah.
I was vaguely aware, but
So the groom, I guess, is in the person of Christ, the bridegroom, and the bride is in the person of Christ as the church.
I don't know.
And it just starts breaking things out there.
I'm all I say. Yeah.
In the Eastern church, it's just it's the priest, like it always is.
But all I'd say to that, Father Eric, is a Middle Easterner has never romanced anyone, right? Like all of the Eastern, the Greeks, they're just it's all done by the family. It's all, however, Ernesto, Like there's a whole thing that, and of course that became a problem because there's a reason why you need to be there to witness the marriage, Father Eric.
Oh yeah, all those
people were
clandestine
administering
marriages.
the sacrament to each other in private with the secret love vows or whatever, and it's like that just complicates things.
Yeah. So thank the Council of Trent for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the sort of things. It's studying canon law doesn't make things clearer. It makes things more complicated.
Yeah.
As with many higher levels of learning and education.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that cassock with green trim, if you want it in wool, it's like $200.
Oh, that's a steal right there. $200 any day of the week.
Not bad.
I'm used to the church tax, man. I when I was in Rome, I bought a cassock for about 400, 500 euro.
Which store did you go to?
Macinelli. It's right down the street from the Vatican on the Pageau.
Is that that's not
that
Gabriella,
sounds like
right?
the
No,
priest
it's not
tourist
Gabriella.
trap
No.
store.
Oh, man.
The
No.
priest
So the fanciest
For everyone
one,
who wants to say they got a cassock in Rome.
they go to Gamarelli. That's
Gamarelli.
it's the primo one, and then like right
Are they
across
the really
street,
fancy rosary that Jonathan Rumi just did a commercial for?
No,
Or
no,
was
they
that a
don't
different
do
thing?
rosaries. They make money.
Okay.
No, they don't make money because they don't sell high volume items. Oh,
Gamarelli, that's it.
they're artists. Yeah, Gamarelli. That's the really fancy one.
I went there.
Barbaconi's right across the street. They've got nice stuff. They've got really nice, inexpensive clerical shirts that last forever. So that's good.
Nice.
And Macinelli, it was just this tiny little store. And my buddy got a really nice cassock there. I'm like, I'm just going to go get one off the rack. I'm not going to do this custom ordered business.
What? You all got it off the rack? Oh.
I got it off the rack.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, it still probably fit pretty well considering. Like, I imagine it's
gone lost right there.
No.
You're pretty tall, Father Eric. I'm surprised they had one your size.
It's an international hub, man. They get all sorts of priests there. They get giant Nigerians and Dutchmen coming in.
Dutchman, yeah. Big Dutchman.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, marriage as a sacrament gets more complicated because we let women be ministers. So,
right.
Hey, Trey.
As with many things, when women get involved, it gets more complicated.
Every time, and that's
Women
what
make
God
everything
made you
more
to do.
complicated. Can confirm.
That's what God created you to do. Yeah.
But otherwise, then the canon lawyer school going good. So, how many semesters do you have to do? How long is this going to take?
I've got another 3 summers.
Oh no!
Wow.
And
You
I'm
might
taking-
graduate after me.
It's online classes during the year, and then summer classes for 3 years. 50-page thesis and a 1-hour comprehensive exam, and I'll have the JCL after my name.
So you have to go to Washington again every summer for that period of time. Oh, okay, all right.
It's big boy school.
But you get the green cassock at the end.
I get the green cassock at the end, man. That's what's
That's a good deal.
That's the
Actually,
deal.
Where are you going?
besides
And the
just
Philly
obedience to my bishop. The green cassock's what's keeping me going.
I did
Yeah, the
I
green
did 4
cassock
years
and the
in
fact
undergrad.
that
I didn't
someone
get
told you to
cool,
do it.
cool clothes.
If you'd gone to a proper school, you would have gotten cool clothes.
True, it's true.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Jacob?
It was a good start. I think you need to do a video series: how to become a canon lawyer, how to become a canon judge, how to become.
I don't want to give people encouragement in this. It's like no, seriously. It's a tiny world. Does it need to be any bigger? And there aren't a whole lot of positions in it. And because according to the teaching of Vatican II, in order to exercise power of governance in the church, you need to be a cleric. That means there's a lot of
Really aren't that
position-
many positions for lay.
Yeah,
canon
there are
lawyers.
some, but it's usually like the bishop already knows a guy and says, or a gal, and says, "You're going to go off to canon law school here, and you're gonna take this position as chancellor of our diocese."
But then wouldn't they? So that they still aren't clerics in that case. They're just
They're not clerics.
Yeah.
A layman or a laywoman can serve as a judge on an ecclesiastical case on a panel with 2 clerical judges.
Okay.
So
All right.
1 in every 3 can be a layperson.
Basically.
Well, I mean,
How many?
I was reading some blog posts from canon lawyer blogs,
Okay.
but
Which ones?
this was a while back, but they were all really trad caths.
Yeah.
They were like, as you would expect, and they were defending SSPX, which.
Well, that whole thing is a mess. So,
It
like, canon law school is one of those places where if you've got 3 canon lawyers and you ask a question, you'll get 4 to 5 opinions. So they might be doing the whole defending SSPX canonically business just as an exercise. I don't know.
It seemed like they were pretty pro SSPX, and I think
And Pope Francis gave them faculties to hear confessions in 2015. So that also sounds like being pro SSPX right there. I don't know.
Right. They're in the canonically irregular position. So of course that's exactly where you're going to get all the.
That's my namesake.
arguing.
Everybody should defend Lefevreism.
Yeah, that's right. He's finally figured this out. I told Mark.
Yeah.
Like, was it when you were in DC that I told you about your last name in Catholic world?
No, it was before that. I knew about his hereditary.
I've been poking him about it for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
He has the exact same. He must be related to Marcel Lefebvre. I can't.
No, I
imagine
think he
he's
looked
not
into
related.
this. There's no.
No
I
relation.
don't think
No,
Marcel
because we
had
went
any
through
French
Canada.
Canadian.
Yeah,
I don't
we're
think he had any French
French-Canadian.
Canadian.
We took off
Like,
a
it'd be
long
way
time
back
ago.
there.
Like, we got the hell away from the Parisians a long ass time ago.
Wise, very wise.
You gotta realize how bad Parisians must be for somebody to leave France, which is relatively nice weather, to go to freaking Canada, which is an unlivable waste world of cold and beavers.
Yeah, I mean,
No
Paris
women.
probably didn't even
Well,
think all
beavers
that
could be
back
pretty good. That could be what's driving it.
Yeah, but there's no women either. French people around no women? That doesn't even make any sense. Sounds like
that's
hell
really
only
dumb.
works at that point. I don't.
Now, very few people know this, but if you really want to poke a Lefebvreite at SSPX hardcore sedevacantist,
SSPX is not formally sedevacantist.
They
Go
are.
on.
yeah,
necessarily.
but
As an organization, though.
if you want to poke them, point out that Lefebvre admitted that his original ordination was done by a bishop who was later found out to have been a Freemason.
Okay.
And he admitted this himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so if his original ordination is not
That's why you have 3 bishops. Yeah, you always have 3 bishops at an episcopal consecration.
Oh, really?
No, Episcopal, but it was his priestly
Okay.
ordination. And if his ordination as a priest wasn't valid,
It would be valid.
It would. It would. Shucks.
I mean, it looks bad,
Like,
right?
don't
But
it?
like, that's the beauty of the sacramental system is that if your minister is evil, that doesn't invalidate it. Thank you, St. Augustine, for figuring that out.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. No. Because I've heard people discussing this, and they said as long as the minister had the intent to do what the church does, and if he's a Freemason, he may have in fact had the opposite intent.
Yeah.
Thing.
I mean,
The odd.
Freemasonry-
Isn't that the definition of a conspiracy theory?
Freemasonry is not incompatible with anything in Christianity. actually?
It's completely incompatible with the church, since the church taught
You can get
at
excommunicated
that
for
time.
that. I think you could still get excommunicated for
Oh
it.
yeah. No,
No,
and you
in
you
the
should.
80s, in the 80s they kind of lightened up on it, but this was way before the 80s.
Yeah, they shouldn't lighten up on that, but that's not the point. What I'm saying is the goal of Freemasonry and the way they structure their stuff is extremely Christian. Like there's very little stuff in there that you would find to disagree with, other than the fact that they don't do the Trinity thing, they don't do God. They're very
They
God
do
of your
God. Oh
understanding.
no, they definitely do God.
Well,
they
it's
very much
not.
do God.
It's more God of your understanding. It's not. It's not.
To
There's
some
a
extent,
creator.
So,
They
so the
talk
Freemasons are a
about
12-step
Sean.
group?
It's
in a
very
sense,
weird.
they really are. It's a very, like, there's a reason why they have the G in the architects thing and all that stuff, and they talk about the architect all the time. It's always the architect.
But it's Gnostic.
The architect.
It's not. That's the issue. It's actually Freemasonry is actually Gnostic. It's just Gnosticism that follows a very Christian framework with tons of Old Testament biblical references.
Sorry, is there Gnosticism that doesn't follow a Christian framework?
Nope.
Yeah.
Well,
Mandaism.
Yeah, a lot of it denies Christian framework, right? They just flat out they say no. The Ten Commandments, no, that was written by the bad God. So really, the commandments are right. There's outright.
That's still operating within the Christian frame.
Yeah, even Mandaism. I mean, ultimately,
that's just saying that, like, secretly the Christian frame is the opposite.
Right, but the Freemasons don't even do that. Is what I'm saying. Like they don't even do that. They're okay with most.
They're much closer to.
They just leave stuff out. They don't deny stuff outright in that way.
I have to go very soon. Father Eric, it looks like you're not on.
Yeah, there was a critical miscommunication that made this stream more exciting than it needed to be. I should have it fixed by next week.
Okay. If we need to do anything to fix it, let me know. And Mark, you're still an admin, but I'm gonna kind of head out because I have a meeting to go to.
My last point is that being a Freemason and validly performing an ordination are not incompatible. There we go.
Oh,
excellent.
Yeah.
Fire. Got that right in there at the end.
Yeah.
See you, Jacob. Have fun.
Oh, Jacob leaves.
He leaves. Hey, Chad.
It's 100% because of you, Chad. Take it personally. Absolutely take it personally.
I'm going to.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write a song about it.
Oops. Come back here.
Can't believe you guys. What's new? What are you guys talking about?
We talked about why pets are good as long as you're not being weird about them.
Since you're not a Freemason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, people that like animals more than people always concern me.
People who don't like dogs are also concerning. So, yeah. You got to figure that one out.
Yeah. Are you guys shut down or what?
I don't know. We've been going since the second start, almost for 2 hours now.
About 2 hours. So yeah, we usually don't go much longer.
But right now, actually, Mark is running the show because of the aforementioned miscommunications and the fact that I got here late.
There were lots of problems.
It's gonna go as long as Mark goes.
Well,
the man's got stamina.
I want
not
Mark
anymore, man. I burnt myself out on Saturday between Friday night's live stream, Saturday's book club thing. Then I saw the Barbie movie. Then we did the Barbenheimer stream, which is doing gangbusters. It's almost up to 200 views just on my channel, right? And now I'm just like tired.
I want Mark to shut it down. I want Mark to go watch my latest video and like give it a comment.
Chad, I was dragged into this right from BOM. So I intended to watch your video next, and then I got Ted needed my assistance. I apologize for the.
We needed
for the,
somebody to
delay.
administrate this stream.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. We have been going for like a solid 2 hours plus the aborted bit there. So Chad, you've got a new video on YouTube that everybody needs to go watch, or just Mark?
I think everybody should go watch it.
Everybody should watch it.
Why not? I'm been doing this thing lately where I'm trying to bring a counter narrative, a little bit of a balanced narrative to the cultural conversations that I see in the algorithms.
Yeah.
An admirable goal.
There's role for a trustworthy contrarian.
Well, I try to be as honest as I can, not just for the sake of it, but like if I notice something strange, I'm going to say it, basically.
Yeah. Like you were the one who pointed out that Sound of Freedom was an okay movie.
Yeah, it's just okay. Plus, I thought that there was nefarious actions taken to market the movie, which worked very well and for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
I don't know. Maybe they just took advantage of the evil that already existed and twisted it against itself, much like Jordan Peterson did with the left to monetize.
Yeah. No, my point exactly. I mean, that's
I like my boy Jim Caviezel. I
do.
He's a good Catholic kid. He torpedoed his own career playing Jesus in the Passion of the Christ.
I love Caviezel, and I love Passion. I was just pointing out what a possibility. Like, wow, like there's literally millions of dollars of free marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
So why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Good point.
So,
good point. Well said.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, go check that out. Tell me what you think. If you don't like what I have to say, let me know. I like that too. There's been kind of hit or miss. Some people are like, "You're heartless," and I'm like, "Whatever, dude. I'm trying to be honest, man." So
honesty is heartlessness, Chad. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. So yeah, you got to be careful for that one.
So,
alrighty,
wonderful.
And while we're plugging ourselves, it's not as big as Chad's, but Ted and I did a conversation on Tolkien's On Fairy Stories, which is on Ted's channel.
Ted's channel.
Oh, great! I
The
don't know
Golden
what Ted's
Echo.
channel is, or I'd post the link.
Can you?
It's called the Golden Echo.
The Golden Echo. Okay.
I'm gonna drop a link. I'm gonna drop a link.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Drop a link, please.
Much love. Good night.
Where can I drop?
Can't you drop it in the commentsy things?
Oh, it's only going to go to my channel though.
Well, I just want to plug reuniting with the Western father figure, which I think was exemplified today. Submission, and that's it. That's it for me.
Alrighty. Well, let's call it a Sunday evening. Glad you all celebrated the Lord's resurrection, and God bless you all. Mark, pull us out.
Thank you much, guys. Have a lovely Sunday. Thanks for joining.